Tabletop Spotlight, brought to you by Dragon's Lair Comics and Fantasy. Hey everyone, I'm AdamHarry from BoLS Tabletop News with
Evan from Dragon's Lair Comics and Fantasy.
And we're back with another Tabletop Spotlight. This time, Evan, this game looks pretty. What do we have today?
This is Indian Summer. We're going to take a stroll through the forest, and we're going to find some berries, some nuts, and just really take in the fall season. This is a pattern building strategy puzzle game. That's, I think, the best way of doing it, where each player has their own player board. They're going to try to cover the entire board with leaves, animals, and berries.
This sounds pretty cool, and just from the setup, it looks pretty intense. Let's take a look inside Indian Summer. All right, Evan, we got a lot of stuff on the table. Walk me through what we're looking at here.
Yeah, so let's start with the most important thing, and that's the player boards. These are what you're going to be doing as your objective. You're trying to cover these entire boards with leaves and animals. The first person to cover their board wins. Now, these are completely different boards. They're going to have different, they're both front and back, but they also have different patterns with different treasures, as they're called on the boards themselves. During your turn, you have one main action and any side action you want, as many side actions as you want. The main action is you can take any of the leaf patterns on your, what's called path, next to your backpack, and put them on your board. Now, they also have holes, as you'll see. You'll want to try to cover each of the treasures with holes, and if you do so, you can take a treasure, like a berry in this case, and put it over that hole as long as it covers that berry right there. When you complete each section of your board, there are 6 total with 12 in each section. If you complete that board by covering everything up, you get to take all those treasures. And they actually do special abilities, which is really cool. So the berries will allow you to take, you have a maximum of 5 leaves in your path. You can use a berry to refill that 5, or you can use a berry to add a 6th one if you want from the big row going around the board in the middle. You can use a nut to get a squirrel. Squirrels are useful because they're 1 square big, and you can use them to fill holes to complete sections. Or you can use a mushroom. Mushrooms allow you to steal leaves from other players' paths and put them on your board. And then the best one, which is the feather, allows you to do 2 main actions in the turn. So you can take 2 of your leaves and put them on your board in one. You can also take these animals out here, which will give you more treasures, or animals over here. However, animals have to only cover blank holes, like this one right here. So if, for instance, we have this setup right here where there's 2 holes in the middle, let's actually make it 3 holes somehow. Here's where the pattern building comes. 3 holes right there. You can take one of these butterflies and cover up there. It'll give you more points in the end. Now, the only reason you want to hold on to your treasures or for ties at the end, so it's recommended that you actually use them as you play. Use the abilities as you go. These backpacks are quick reference guides. You'll see at the very back of the backpack, you'll see what you can do during your turn, what each item does as well. And lastly, we have this big row. This is the community path. This is going to get shorter as people start taking it from them, and as it gets shorter, you'll add more from the box onto the path. There is also a single player variant. If we take these guys off, the back of these long boards will have the single player boards on this side, because you cannot use animals during the single player game. That's basically it for Indian Summer. Otherwise, you're just building patterns, trying to be the first one to cover up your spot.
This looks really cool. There's a lot of stuff going on here. Definitely has that shape placement Tetris vibe going on.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's great for people who love puzzles, because it's kind of a competitive puzzle, if you will. Yeah. But great for people who like patterns as well. And then there's the aesthetic. It's really pleasing. You're just taking a stroll through a forest in the fall season, and it's pretty. Cool.
All right, Evan, you have the rules here. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at them. What do we got?
Yeah, so we've really talked about the majority of the game. This is a completely colored, full rule book. If you don't want to read it, they have their website where you can actually watch it being played and how to play it. Of course, you're going to start off with your components and the aim of the game. We love it when they put it at the beginning. Mm-hmm. But it'll just go into detail, the setup. The setup's a lot prettier than we had it over here because our table's a little small. But your setup, you're going to have legal moves and illegal moves, along with the boards in the middle and how to know which one's for single player, which one's for multiplayer. It's going to go over what happens when you cover up the treasures, if you want to fill them with holes, and it's going to also go over the treasures themselves, what each one does in detail. Again, on the back of your backpacks, as you'll see here, they will have a quick reference guide, and it'll tell you kind of a pattern. It won't say in words, but it'll have a pattern of what you can do. And going over, it'll also have the end of the game. The first person to cover the board wins. However, there's one round after that person covers their board. So if you can cover your board as well before the round is over, it's a tie, and to break ties, whoever has the most treasures at the end wins. And last but not least, we have our solo game variant. Basically, use the different side of the board, and it's more about how well you individually can do to cover your board. We'll also have a little advertisement for the first game in the trilogy, Cottage Garden, which we'll talk about later.
Cool. Well, that was Indian Summer from Stronghold Games. I like it, man.
Yeah,
it definitely gives off that Tetris vibe.
Yeah, definitely. A Tetris vibe. It's a beautiful game.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of pieces, but it's a beautiful looking game.
Yeah.
We should also point out this is the second game in a trilogy of puzzle games by the same person. The first one is called Cottage Garden. It's a very similar concept, but smaller scale and a little more relaxed.
Cool.
It's going to go tiered up from there. But yeah.
Very cool. Well, let's crunch numbers on this bad boy real fast. It does run pretty fast.
Yeah.
It's 15 minutes per player.
Yeah.
You can play solo because...
there is a solo version, so it's 1 to 4 players total.
Yep, and it's ages 10 and up.
Yep, and it's $59.95.
Yeah, so go check it out. It's out right now. I'm AdamHarry from BoLS.
I'm Evan from Dragon's Lair Comics and Fantasy.
This has been another Tabletop Spotlight. Thanks again for watching. Tabletop Spotlight, brought to you by Dragon's Lair Comics and Fantasy. Click to subscribe. Support us on Patreon. Check out more videos. And thanks for watching.